Hi there, fellow beginning programmers. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about branching. Perhaps you've heard that with Git, branching is super easy, super simple. So instead of just showing you a Git demo, let's go through the whole project and see how we would do it in a remote repository like GitHub. So let's go ahead and create a brand new project in GitHub and let's call it branching demo 2. So let's create that and we can add a description. And so let's say that we want to create a node project and let's go ahead and add the ignore. So the ignore file allows you to not commit files that you don't need. So that's what we're doing here. Let's just go ahead and add git ignore and add an MIT license. And let's add the README file. So let's go ahead and create that. And it creates that. So now, since we don't have a empty repository, it doesn't give us the instructions for how to create it. So just make sure you add those things that you need initially. It makes it a lot easier. So we want to clone this repository. So in order to do that, we can open up the command line. Let's close this command line. I thought I had another command line open. Let's go ahead and open up a new command line. And so with this, let's move over to our dev and let's go ahead and clone that new repository. And when we clone the repository, it's also going to create a folder for us called branching demos, which we have to move into. So it's copied it over. So let's go ahead and if we look in here, we're going to notice that we have a branching demo here. Branching demo 2 is what we're after because that's what we have, branching demo 2. So it created a folder. So we have to move into that in order to start executing Git commands against it. So let's go ahead and move into that repository and so once we move into that, we can actually see what we have in here. We have a git ignore, we have a license, and a readme. So let's just go ahead and bring some things into it. And we want to bring this project, which I was working on prior. And let's go ahead and bring it into our branching demo 2. And it copies. We'll skip anything that it already has, so we don't want that. So skip these files. So let's go ahead and do that. And now when we look at our branching demo, one thing that you'll notice is that we have a master, first of all, and our remote is origin, which points to our GitHub repository. So let's say perhaps that in the master initially we have the project and everything. So right now we've added a bunch of files, so we want to add all that to it. So let's go ahead and get that. We want to add everything. So typically you want to add just what you need. It's kind of dangerous to do this because sometimes there's files that you don't want to commit, but in this case everything's safe, so we're going to go ahead and add everything. And then we're going to do our first commit. So we go ahead and add it, and then we go ahead and push it. Oh, not yet. We did it. We added it. We committed it, and that's also locally. So now we want to push it. So and we want to push over the master. So we push it over, and we should be able to go to our repository. And we should be able to see our commits, which consists of first commit, right? So we added all those files. And let's say that we want to branch. So let's say that we want to create a branch, and let's just create a simple branch. Let's call it git feature X or something. So we do a checkout, and when we do a checkout, it's gonna move to that branch, but if we give it the parameter -b, it's going to create it. So let's just say that we call it feature whatever, feature X, and we are updating the index list. So we give it something meaningful. Update index list. So now it created the branch. If we look at our branches, we can see that we're in that branch. So now what we want to do is go ahead and start Visual Studio from here. So a quick and easy way to start Visual Studio Code is to say code and tell it to start in this directory. So we start Visual Studio Code, and let's say that all we want to do is maybe update our page. Let's say that we have a list and we have let's say JavaScript. Just put some programming languages. Okay, and we go ahead and save this. Go back to our command line, and now we can, let's check our status. And this, when it's in red, it means that it detected a change, but it's not staged. As you can see, it's not staged. So now we want to add that file, and we say index.html. And now if I check the status again, you'll see that it changes to green because now it's staged. And so now that it's staged, we can commit it. And we tell it what we did. Updated index with languages. Something meaningful, right? So now we want to push. So now let's say that we want to push our changes over into the remote. So, and what branch are we on? So you might remember, you might forget what branch you're on, or it may be too long, so it's easier to copy and paste it. So a good cheat way is to just show the branch. And so we want to push from origin because that's our remote, and we want to push this branch. So I'm just going to copy it by using Control-C and pasting it, and it's going to create, push that origin up. So now when I go here into branching demo 2, you will notice that I have the master, and I also have a feature. And if I look at my commits for this feature, so you'll see this commit, and you can take a look at what I did, and I just added that. So that happened. That should be in the branch. It shouldn't show up in the master. That commit should not show up in the master, so it doesn't. So if I look at the feature, that commit shows up there, right? So what I want to do now is when I go here and I'm in this feature, I can create a pull request. That means that at that point, somebody can code review it and approve it or whatever the case may be. So I create a pull request, and somebody will, I will go ahead and say, hey, this feature is ready. I can add some comments and so on. So let's just go ahead and create the pull request. At that point, now it's creating the pull request. So I can merge it. I'm in control of this entire repository. So in my case, I can just go ahead and merge it. But you may have your repository, whether it's Bitbucket or GitHub or whatever, where no one else can push into that repository because they don't have access. So the only thing they can do is create the pull request, and then the reviewer can actually do it. Here in this case, I'm doing everything. So at this point, I can go ahead and squash. Let's say I had 10 different commits. I can squash everything into one, or I can just go ahead and rebase and merge or whatever. So you can review the commits here, and at this point you have the option to say leave a comment or whatever the case may be. If you approve it, so let's say that you do approve it, this doesn't let me approve from here. I don't know why it doesn't allow me to approve it. I don't know. Approve. Does it let me at that point? No. So it doesn't let me. But if I go to the pull request, and I can go here now and say, yeah, it's good to go. I go ahead and merge the pull request. and confirm it. And so now when I go to the branching demo and I go to the commits, I can check the commits on the master, and you can see that now that has come over, merged the pull request, right? So that has come over. If I look at just the branch, this one has a different set of commits. So now let's say, for example, people are working on the develop and they don't necessarily have that. So how do they get back on track? How do they get master back on track? So one thing I can do is I can say git pull origin master, and that'll pull my changes. But let's take a look at master first. Let's go ahead and switch branches now. And to switch branches, all you have to do is say git checkout and then type the branch that you want to switch into. So you notice that when I did git branch, I have two branches, feature X and master. So I want to switch to master. If I do a git K here and I look at my log, you'll notice I only have these two commits. I don't have the feature X commit. So in order to get the feature X commit, I need to do a pull, and then I have to say origin master. So I want to pull from origin to master. So now it shows me that. So now if I do a git K, now it should show me what I did in terms of that other feature X commit. So now I'm up to date on master. And you could have other branches like develop, and maybe depending on your workflow, you may have different branches. Maybe you have a develop branch, a master branch, maybe you got a release branch, whatever the case may be. So you want to branch out from the one branch where you're actually committing into. So at this point, I can continue working and I can add other branches. So if I just do git checkout -b and I have another feature y, add link. So let's say, for example, I do git checkout -b, I add a link. So let's just say, and right now it's important to know which branch you're in because it's going to branch from that one. So if I check out my branches, I'm in master. So if I do git checkout, now -b is to create the branch, feature y, add link to child page. Let's just say I did that. And so now if I look at my branch, I've switched over. And I can switch back over to the other branch. Let's say, for example, I want to switch back over to this other feature X. I can just do not branch. Remember, it's checkout. So I got to do checkout and then put in the branch that I want to switch over to. And I'm now, if I look at it, now I'm at that branch. I'm at a different branch. So let's go back to feature X. And the easiest way for me is just to copy these things. So let's say I want to go back to feature Y because I want to add something. Okay, so I am now in feature Y, and I should have Visual Studio open. And let's say that I wanted to add a new file, and we won't even bother to add anything. We just whatever, right? And we modify this one to, we just say p add link to child. We're not even linking it for real, just kind of changing. So now when I check my status on here, you notice that I have a new file and a modified file. So now at this point, I can say git add index.html. Right? So if I check my status, you see that it's now stage. At this point, if I do a commit, it's only going to commit the index.html, not the child. So now I want to make sure that I add the child too. And now if I do this, you notice that it has both a modified. So now I can do a commit. So now I can push, and let's see what branch I'm in first. So git push origin, that's my remote name, right? And I want to push this branch. So now if I go to my my branching demo, I should be able to see my feature Y, and then I should be able to see the commits here. And here, if I feature Y, I can see the commits. You notice that it also shows me the other commits prior, because when I branched off something that had those changes, so it's going to show me all of that. But when I go to merge, it's not going to show that. So and I can review what I have here, and I added, so index HTML, so it shows that I added child HTML, and I can view what I added there. So let's go back here and let's go into features. So now at this point I can create a pull request so that somebody can review my code and maybe merge it into the main branch. So here I can create a pull request, add a child, not much to add here, and create a pull request. Of course, somebody else will come through, look at the changes, they look at the commits, they can see here what the changes were, added this, and we notice that we can look at the entire commit. So we can see that the child HTML, it should have something in it. I'm not sure why I'm not seeing view. 0 bytes. That's weird. I thought we had something in it. Did we not save it? Oh, I didn't. No, wait. Oh, you know what? I didn't save it. So if I look at my child HTML, it's 0 bytes because I didn't save it. So now that I saved it, so let's say that. Let's go ahead and get status here. Git add. Git push. Git commit. And now we got to do a git push origin. And I don't remember the branch name, but I can copy it from up there. So you can see that when I check the status, it shows me the branch. So I can take and copy that, push it over. So now when I go back, let's see what it does. So if I look at my feature Y, yeah, I'm at feature Y, and it's not allowing me to do a pull request, clone or download. So where's my pull request? It's showing my pull request. So it's showing that it's already open. So if I look at my commits, I should be able to see that. So it shows my 2 commits, and it shows that I saved the child here. And it does show that I added some junk in there. So now at this point, going back to that pull request, let's go back to that branch. And what is this view? View 2. So now at this point, we can merge the pull request. And we can see the commits. We can merge the pull request, add a child. And so go back to here, and we are in that feature branch. So let's go back to the master. So it's a git checkout master. And if we do a git K, we're not going to see those changes because we need to come up to date. So we need to do a git pull in order to update the master, and our origin is our remote name. So, and we want to pull into the master. So now when we do git K, we should be able to see now the additional feature there. So we have a couple of features. So that's just basically it, how you do branching and merging. Now you can do merging locally. Say for example that let's say that I wanted to take, and what branch am I in? So I'm in the master. So let's check out feature X, for example. And so now I switch to that. So now what I can do is I can git merge, right? And I can take, since I'm in that, I can actually take and merge what I have in master, right? And so what that brings me up to date with the master. But now what if I was to do a git push origin, and I am in feature X? Will it push those changes up? Let's see. So now I merged, and basically I think there was nothing. So it didn't do anything. So let's go see what it did in Git and feature X update. So let's go here and let's go back one. Let's go into feature X, see our commits. And you notice that feature X now includes the changes for feature Y, because we merged the master into our feature. And that's something that you may not want to do, because now when it comes time to maybe merge into your deployment branch or your release branch or whatever, now you're carrying extra stuff that you probably shouldn't be carrying in your particular commit, in your particular branch. So that's just something to look out for. When you branch off of develop, you may not want to branch, or master, your master branch, you may not want to keep merging, because you'll start having interleaved changes. So for example, if I was to modify feature X because maybe something was wrong and I need to fix something, now I'm going to have another commit in here, whereas before the commits were all part of just this feature. So now I'm carrying interleaved commits. So just something to keep in mind. That's all I really have. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments below. If you do like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. If you don't, leave me your feedback and I'll make adjustments. Thanks for watching.